Today we're at my local speed shop, HG Performance. I thought this would be the perfect location to show you the basics of making floor graphics. This is a great way to bring branding and life into a blank space. Today we'll show you some tips to help you create the perfect floor graphic for your customers. This will include selecting the correct materials, mock-ups, and installation techniques. The first thing you should do is discuss the size of the graphic with your customer. Then go ahead and mark that size on the ground with some tape. In this situation, the customer thinks 2 logos placed across an 11-foot section will look best. We'll use these marks of tape we just put down as a reference when editing the mock-up in Photoshop. Okay, we got the reference photo, but before we go, let's test this floor to make sure we're using the correct media for the job. For most polished floor surfaces, Icon PM2755 will work great. The more texture or porosity you bring into the equation, the more likely you'll need a low surface energy film like Icon 444 LSE. The advantages of using PM2755 will be lower cost and easier end-of-life removal. The 444 will bond to surfaces that PM2755 might struggle with, but its aggressive nature could damage fragile surfaces. So use caution on anything other than concrete or ceramic tile. I can see this floor going either way, so let's wipe down a section of it with isopropyl alcohol and test adhesion. PM2755 feels like it would work well on this surface. But after going over the pros and cons of each option with the shop owner, they've decided they want the extra strength of the 444 LSE. On polished concrete, it is possible some adhesive may be left behind after removal, but this can be soaked in solvent and scraped off. HG isn't worried about the trade-off. Make sure you show your customers Icon TL6100 and Atlas G25 textured laminates. Both films meet UL 410 slip resistance criteria. TL6100 is the most popular option, but G25 is more aggressive. It can be used in situations requiring wet slip resistance or superior traction. For this job, we'll stick with the TL6100. Okay, we have the garage photo loaded into Photoshop. Let's bring in the floor art and line it up with the tape marks to see how it looks. To get the correct perspective, you will want to use the vanishing point filter. Just create a new layer, apply the filter, and set up the perspective to match the floor. Paste in your art and free transform it to the correct size. For extra points, you can bring in some of the texture by going to Layer Style and adjusting the underlying layer. Split the slider and drag half the dark side in until it looks good. You can go wild in Photoshop, but that would be its own tutorial. Let's send this over for approval. If the customer wants it smaller or larger, you can make an estimate of scale by changing it as a percentage. For example, if your customer wants to design 20% smaller, you'll click Transform, Scale, 80%. Okay, here's how it looks 20% smaller. We know 80% of 11 feet is 8.8 feet. On this job, we'll stick to 11 feet, but this is one way you can resize a large decal for your customer. Okay, HG loves it and they've approved the artwork. I'll send this art over to one of our customers and have them print it using Icon 444 LSE, laminated with Icon TL6100. Now that the graphics are printed and laminated, we are back at the garage ready to install. The first thing we need to do is brush and scrape off any pieces of junk that might be stuck to the installation surface. Then we'll wipe the area down with isopropyl alcohol. The floor is now clean. Let's allow it to dry before we install the decal. Okay, get things into position and tape down half of the decal. Take the other half and roll it up with the liner facing out. Use a backing paper knife to make a cut across the liner for us to peel back. Now peel back as much as you feel comfortable with and start squeegeeing from the center out. Remove the tape and complete the other side in the same fashion. After installing, we recommend a bit of post-heat, then squeegee the surface to finish it off. That's it, this decal is done. These guys now have a branded space ready for photo shoots and Instagram stories.